Hey everybody, it's Mike in here. I wanted to talk to you about bike setup. So before your ride, so if you're new to cycling or you're finding that you may have some discomfort in your knees, back of the leg sometimes, your quads may burn a lot more than they should during the class. So let's just quickly go over bike setup. I ride a Bowflex C6 and at work I always ride a Keiser, and so the setups are the same pretty much for all bikes. Okay, I wear a clip, I clip in, but you don't have to. Most bikes come with a cage for your shoe to fit in, so I'll talk about both of those. Okay, so first things first, we want to stand next to our seat. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor, you've got your shoes on, and we want it to be about hip height. Okay, so we want that seat at about your hip. This isn't the golden rule because we will do another check for this. However, it gives you an idea of how high we want our seat to be. So if you find your seat is too low, it's more down here or it's way up here, adjust it so that I've got mine right about there on my hip. Okay, so from there, what you're going to do is climb up on your seat. So if you're in clips, you're going to put it in your clip position and just clip one in. If you are in the cages, put your foot in the cage with your foot as far forward as you can. So we're going to climb up on that seat. Good. So to check to make sure that your seat is high enough, what you're going to do is keep one leg bent and one leg straight. Try not to drop your heel or your toe. We want that foot nice and flat. And what we want to see is just a little bit of a bend to your knee. Now, if your seat's too low, you're going to have a crazy bend to your knee. And when we do any seated flats or anything like that, you're going to feel your quads. I've seen in classes where people insist on having their bike seat really low. I wouldn't suggest it. I would suggest having it just high enough that you've got that nice little bend to your knee. If your seat is too high, you will find that the back of the leg hurts. You can bother your knees because you don't ever want to hyperextend your leg, tiny bend to your knee, okay? So from there, what we're going to check is where that forward and back on our seat is. So your seat actually moves forward and back on most seats. This we'll be able to check and make sure that your knee positioning is correct. So what you're going to do is pedal halfway and bring those feet, I'll go halfway more. So coming halfway around so that your feet are parallel. So they're right next to each other, okay? In this position, again, you don't want to drop your heel or your toes, bringing that foot nice and flat. And when we take a peek down, the easiest way to look at this is that we want to be able to have our knee over our ankle or slightly behind. It can be slightly forward, but you want to be able to see your toes. Now, if you're so far forward on your seat that you cannot see your toes, you're going to put a lot of pressure on your knees, okay? So if you find that you cannot see your toes, or you find your knee might be a little bit too forward, or it's way, way back, then what you're going to do, hop off that bike and find out how you can move your seat forward and back. Some you may have to use an Allen wrench, some is just a quick release and you can move it forward and back, okay? So finding that position. So it might take a couple of times of up and down. Okay, so back up on your seats. Once we've got that, we'll check again that we've got our seat positioning perfect. We straighten that leg again. We've got that nice little bend to our knee, okay? So from here, to make sure both of those are correct, hands on your handlebars, okay? And so we want to have that nice little bend to our elbow. You never want to be so straight or so forward. So just a nice little bend to the elbow from here on your seated. So this is position 1. You can also use position 2 or your hook, okay? So this is for when we're seated. From there, when we go to stand up and you've got enough gear, you bring your bottom off your saddle, hands up high on your handlebars, and go from there. Okay, so I hope this helped. Please, any questions, leave me a comment, or you can grab me on Facebook or Instagram at Mike and Brooks. And so I hope this helped, and have a great day. Thanks.